Good morning and welcome to Love Every Moment, coming to you today from the Naval Air Station in Pensacola, Florida. Today's verse is Titus 2:8. Sound in speech which is beyond reproach, so that the opponent will be put to shame, having nothing bad to say about us. Now, in last week's verse, I had the link up here. I argued that last week's verse and this week's verse were both directed towards Titus, but I believe they were directed for Titus to be an example to young men to follow. And not that it's not for any other Christian, but young men really need to see examples. And I remember as a young man, I would maybe hear a sermon about a certain topic and suddenly think I'm now an expert and become an intolerable know-it-all about that. I should have just kept my mouth shut, watched the examples, and learned the lesson that actions speak louder than words. But where I really want to concentrate on today's verse is that middle part, so that the opponent will be put to shame, because there are Christians who think that's the main goal of Christianity, that we are to out-argue our opponents and just thump them with the word and not show them love, and who cares whether they go to hell or not. I don't think that's the idea of Christianity, nor of this particular verse. And so let me give a couple of practical examples. I was work camping in South Dakota, and a newish Christian who was working with us made it his goal to point out the sins of everybody else who was work camping. Oh, you're all drinking and getting drunk, and so you're all going to hell. And of course, that didn't score a lot of points for him, and he was shunned because of that. It also affected me. I was trying to show the example of love, but my example was thwarted because of this bad example of intolerance. So it had the opposite effect that this fellow wanted to do, and really halted the gospel from getting out. Next example, just last week I met with a former work camper colleague of mine. We had dinner, chit-chatting. She told me that she's going to take a cruise whose theme is some Eastern mysticism, something. And I just listened, and at the end I said, well, you know that I'm a Christian, and you could always come to me with your questions, and I'll be glad to answer those as best I can, and so forth. And some Christians may condemn me, saying, you should have argued with her about how Christianity is superior, and her blood is going to be on your hands now. And I know the verse they're referring to in Ezekiel, but I want to look at another verse to explain why I did what I did. Let's have a look at Matthew 7:6 that we covered years ago over here. Do not give what is holy to dogs, and do not throw your pearls before swine, or they will trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. So this verse is talking about there are people whose hearts are not ready to receive the gospel. And if you try to argue with them, well, they're not ready for that. And so they're just going to trample it under their feet. It's going to do no good. They might even come and get you on that. So it's not the right track when their hearts are not ready. Okay? Instead, sow some love, and maybe after a while, their hearts will be prepared to receive that message. That's at least the hope that I'm going for. Interestingly, look at the next verse, verse 7. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. What are we asking for? Is it possible we're asking for God to give us wisdom to present the gospel when their hearts are ripe, after we've sowed the seeds of love in their hearts? I think that's the better tact on there. I don't know of anybody who was argued into the kingdom. Oh, I lost an argument with a Christian, so I guess I had to become a Christian. That person really just doesn't exist. I know I became a Christian because Christians loved me. They showed me what real Christian love was like, and that had a profound effect on me. As Romans says, it was like having coals of fire on my head. That put me to shame more than any argument would. And so that's the example I want to give to young men, is the example of love, to love people into the kingdom. Let their hearts be prepared so they can receive the gospel message. Because if we love every moment, we're going to love every moment. I'm your average wretch, and I hope you have a great week.